I mean, I know you guys got to talk to our guest today, Bruce Miller.
This is Auto Collabs.
In Louisiana, a little bit. I've gotten to know this cat a little bit through some other, groups that we're a part of. Just one of the coolest dudes. I'm really excited to see, this is a guy that wears his faith on his sleeve. You can tell it runs deep in his DNA. He cares about his family, he cares about his people, and I think we're going to see a lot of that today. And I mean, he's always wearing that hoodie, all gas, no brakes, but and I really hope this happens.
You know what strikes me about that? Slow down here real quick, because he's got this hoodie. I meet him. He's got the hoodie. It says all gas, no brakes. And he's like, yo. Yes.
It's like real relaxed.
Super chill. Way relaxed. Leaned back in his his stance, and it's like all gas, no brakes, so the juxtaposition of that.
It's on the inside.
He balances that.
I mean, this is a dude that used to be executive leadership at franchise stores, and now he's like flat brim hats, hoodies.
Yeah.
He's just like, yo.
He's a sleeper.
Yo.
He's like that. Sleeper. He's like that Honda Civic that back in the 90s, like the kids would trick out and it'd pull up. They wouldn't tint the windows or anything. And then off the line, they would just dust anything that came next to it. Do you guys remember that? I remember that.
I absolutely remember that. That's great. That's great. Well, we hope you enjoy this conversation we had with Bruce.
Hey, Bruce, thank you so much for giving us some of your time today. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Glad to be on the show. Appreciate you guys giving me the invite.
So we met for the first time at the Digital Dealer conference just several weeks ago. Feels like a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago. And I was really struck by your just genuine, personable demeanor and your like ability to say things very like natural language. I understood everything you were trying to say immediately. Where does that come from?
Being in sales my whole life, always, you have to be an effective communicator, so I guess it comes from that, being in sales my whole life. I guess it comes from the confidence that I know who I am and I know what I bring to the table. So I could just say what I want or communicate how I want. It doesn't really matter if you like it or not, or, you know what I'm saying? So I can freely just explain who I am, talk who I want, be how I want, and communicate how I want. And I don't really care how it comes across because I'm just being me, I recently, the last year and a half, 2 years, opened my own business, and now I own my own business. I can dress how I want. I can talk how I want. I can treat my employees how I want. So I'm on this like just this confidence level where I'm just gonna be me, So that I guess that's maybe where it comes from.
Real talk though. By the end of Paul's question, I was like, "Is he gonna make some funny joke about your Louisiana accent? Because that's just messed up."
That was the bump set actually.
I mean, but I've gotten to know you, Bruce, and you say treat my employees how I want and this and that. And I think, for some people listening, they might think, well, here's another boss. That's not to be taken in the wrong way. You're not someone that's just rolling in being like, look, I'm the boss. That's not how you want to treat your people. So where does that all come from? I mean, like the being authentic to who you are, but you also have this all gas, no brakes. How do you reconcile all gas, no brakes hustle mentality or whatever that means to you to also building an environment in your store where people can thrive?
It comes from being treated the wrong way for 10 years of my career. Being I was somewhat misunderstood. I was like a Christian car salesperson who didn't drink, didn't go to the strip club, so I was mistreated. My first day on the job as a 21-year-old salesperson, I asked my manager can I have off on Wednesdays because we had church Wednesdays, and he says no. You're going to have off whenever I tell you. And from this point on, I am your God. And I'm like, okay, cool. I needed the job.
Oh boy.
I needed the job, so I couldn't quit. I was like a high school dropout. I barely got hired. I had to hustle my way to get hired. So so I learned for 10 years how to not be treated, how a GM wouldn't pay somebody a $500 bonus. The store's making $200,000. You don't want to pay a $500 bonus. dealership group don't celebrate salesperson of the month. Dealership groups don't take their teams to dinner and things like that. So when I became a manager of managers, when I became running stores for these last 10 years, I made a culture of hey, we do this, you're gonna get this. We're gonna celebrate. We're gonna go to Pelicans games. We're gonna go to dinner. We're gonna have events. Salesperson comes to me and says, "Hey man, I'm $1,000 short on my mortgage, but the dude's been working for me for 2 years. I know him. I trust him. I give him $1,000. And it comes out of my own pocket, not from the company. And then I run the risk of not getting it back. But you know what? That guy really needed me, and I know him, and we work every day, and I have a relationship with him. So how can my relationship with you only be transactional? How can my relationship with you just be on what you provide for me? No. So I've always been that person, and I've alienated myself with upper management by the way I wanted to treat people, by the way I wanted to do things. And so now that I am my own boss, I can do what I want.
So go ahead. That is, I think here's the thing. If you listen to 25 inspirational podcasts, a bunch of thought leadership on how to be a manager, a lot of what you just said would kind of be tossed out there as quote unquote best practices, right? But to put it into play and then to just really, really clearly say, how can I work with someone every single day and make this relationship transactional and not relational? It's a bold statement in itself to say that the audacity of someone to do the other is almost unbelievable to you. I love that you're you take them to Pelicans games. I actually know what the Pelicans are because I used to live in Pensacola, so I was very close to I know what the Pelicans are across the water there. But where, because I think a lot of people think hey, this is my work team, this is my work environment. How do you balance the engagement of going, I know that my culture and my people have to go beyond just work hours or things that we do together to do business? How do you balance the I'm still your manager and you still need to do things and get things done and have business outcomes with the relational aspect of things? Because I think sometimes people can just fall in the ditch of either side. How do you balance that and not fall in ditches?
I'm not the best at it. My managers tell me all the time. My managers tell me all the time, "Hey man, Bruce, you can't treat the salespeople like this or that. They have to answer to us." So I'm not the best at it. But when you make deposits in people's lives, it's easy to make withdrawals. If you're only making withdrawals, you're going to create this culture where people hate to be there because all you're doing is just asking, pushing, telling them what they're doing wrong, making these withdrawals, and there's nothing in the account. But when you make deposits and you do things right, and you treated them a little bit, you gave them a little bonus, you paid them a little bit early, you paid them, you did something that was beneficial to them, and they know that, you know what, man, he didn't have to do that. There's equity in that account. And so when I'm demanding, hey man, it's the last 3 days of the month, we need 10, 12 deals these last 3 days. I need everybody to buckle up. When I ask, I normally get because I make deposits, because there's equity in the relationships of my employees. I have a lot of equity, and I have seen other situations where people are asking just like I'm asking, they get nothing because they didn't make no deposits. So that's the main way that I can I'm giving freely from my heart. I'm helping in those areas, but at times when I need them, I can easily push them and get it from them because I made those deposits.
Tell us a story. You got this mindset where you're constantly investing into people's lives, and you told us already several little anecdotal stories about instances when that has happened. One of the things that we are at ASOTU fascinated about are all these inspiring stories in the auto industry that we hear all the time. And, of people whose lives were literally changed by their involvement or they're being welcomed into the industry. Can you think of one story from your last 10 years that you'd want to share with us of somebody's life literally being changed because of their involvement in the industry?
Mine, but let's skip me, but
all right, let's do that. It's a story you know best.
Yeah, man, I came into the industry as a high school dropout, newly married, baby on the way. Like 30 days later, a baby was born.
That's in it, man, right there.
Yeah, back again, 21 years old, and I'm like married, and I had a baby, and I needed a career, a real job, and man, I jumped into the automobile business, and it was like love at first sight. It was the first month, like maybe within 3 months, I made like $5,000 in a month, and in 2000, 20 something years ago, $5,000 a month was like a lot of money, and I was used to making $2,000 a month, so I made 2.5 times a normal income in this industry, and it changed my life. I would always teach my salespeople that a good month, like, it's okay, but if you have like a few good months in a row, it will change your life. You'll start looking at different restaurants to eat at. You'll start looking at different cars to buy, and the car business, changed my life. It took me from a negative to a positive immediately. I was the black sheep. I was at me and my wife's wedding. There was not a single person at that wedding that thought we was gonna make it. This was gonna last more than it did. I'm at the wedding, and I can think now, like, we would have Christmases at my house, and every single person at that wedding was at my house driving cars that I sold them, 15 years later.
Wow.
The car business absolutely flipped the script for me. It made all my hard work, all my passion, all my determination. It turned it into like profitability for me and my family. My 3 kids went to the best school in New Orleans. That's $18,000 or $20,000 a month tuition. My oldest son graduated a 4-year degree from Tulane University. I paid for that cash. He got half off because he was a real smart kid, but I paid for that.
Still take that.
I'll take it all day.
A lot of my friends have Rolexes and this and that. And I said, well, I got 3 kids with private education and Tulane degrees, and that's where my Rolexes are. But the car business absolutely, it set me on a path that I was not supposed to be on. I was not a college graduate. I was not a high school. I was like, I didn't have good parents. I had nobody coming to save the day. It was only me, and the car business changed my life. I don't know where I would be without the car business.
You said something I want to key in on really early on, and I love this, right? Because obviously at ASOTU we're launching, our TV show More Than Cars, which really underscores the stories of how people got into the business and really how it changed their lives. And so you said, I needed a real job.
Yeah. Correct.
And I think that's so fascinating, right? Because there's tends to be 2 narratives out there. There's the the consumer online, right? The vocal minority who have to complain about the business. And then there's the very real Gen Pop, who we hear this over and over again, who turn to the retail auto industry for the real job. Like, that is a definition in their mind. Like, this is a real job. So is that how you were seeing it at that moment, where you were like, what would an unreal job be to you in that moment?
I didn't want to work offshore. I didn't want to be construction, a framer, painter, working the trade. I was doing some of that, a bus boy. These are all jobs that I had. I was always, I was hustling. I always had 2 jobs. I was always trying to get it to the best of my ability. But this was like a real job. Like, this is the first time I ever been to a new car dealership when I applied for the job, and walking in and wearing a shirt and tie, and not having to sweat all day, and not having to go to take an offshore type job where you're gone 3 weeks out. This was what I consider a real job, and it gave me like a real opportunity to make the real money. All those other jobs, like you're exchanging your time for money. The longer you work, the more hours you get overtime, things like that. But the car business, you do work long hours, but the hours for money exchange is greater, and it just was something I could be proud of. Hey, I'm wearing a shirt and tie, and I'm going to work, and I sell new cars for a living. It was a real job. That in my world, it was a real job.
I like it how now that you can dress how you want, you don't wear a shirt and tie anymore.
That's great.
It was good in the beginning, but now I'm free, you know. So
well, I think well, what happened, I think, over time is your definition of a real job. Like at the moment, right? Like we all have these visions and pictures of what we think making it looks like, especially when we're younger. And to you, that was like, hey, a job where I don't have to, trade hours for dollars, and I don't have to, use my back and my hands to make a living. And it was like you just had this vision of like, hey, this is a path for me that can get me there. And like, as obviously the industry's changed over the last 20 years, and now probably more people don't wear ties than do wear ties in the auto industry. It's probably pretty fair to say at this point, but still what it represents is like the opportunity to make your own path, the opportunity to, if you apply yourself and you pay attention and you invest in the people around you and you invest in learning the business, there really is nothing stopping you from moving up.
Correct.
Like, and that's a real job.
Yeah. Well, look, my older son's working for me, but my middle son just graduated high school, and he's coming right to sell cars. School wasn't for him. He's kind of ADHD, dyslexic. I guess he's got a little bit of me in him, and so testing and the structure of school just really wasn't for him. So I'm not gonna just for the sake of what the world wants me to think about a college degree, I'm gonna force him to go to college when he didn't do good in high school, but he's charismatic. He's a great person. People love him. You can't keep him down. He's an overcomer. He's going to excel in the car business,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he's going to come sell cars for me. And I'm going to proudly share that. I'm going to proudly say, hey, I started with nothing. Now I own a business that I have two of my sons working in. I might smile the rest of the year, because that's a very proud accomplishment to me. But that's what I think about the car business. That's
your ROI on the Rolex fund.
There you go,
man.
Hey, I got
tell
your
you
university. You come make it back for me.
Yeah, my son Bruce, he told me yesterday on his VR call. He says, "Hey, Dad, our cost of market is down 5% the last 30 days, when everybody else's cost of market is up 5%." He said, "Why do you think that's the case?" I said, well, I don't know. He says, "Because of me." Me giving you the data.
Come on now. He said, I'm watching the data, Dad. Look at us. We're going to be profitable.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's an unbelievable feeling. I say this all that, like, I want my kids to desire coming out of high school or college to find the auto industry. And even if it's not them, like their friends, and that there's such an energy around not just what I'm doing in the industry, but like the broader industry.
Yeah.
That it's attractive, and it's cool to see like your son's going, yeah, this is attractive. And the last statement there, where like I'm looking in VR, your son's not just like a car person, he's almost like a kind of a data scientist, right?
Yeah.
He's getting off of a call going, look at the data, Dad. Look at how I'm moving these numbers to make sure that profitability exists within our business. Like reframing that for people and going, no. You've got to think really, really well. You've got to have like a good head on your shoulders to be able to be profitable in an inventory management system like vAuto and managing like customer expectations and lead traffic and all that type of stuff. That's huge.
Yeah, and it's like, it's great that it's my son. For years I've had other great people working for me. Young, I always say that between 16 and 25, the dumbest species out there is a male. A human being. We're dumb. We make stupid decisions. We think we're bulletproof. And so for years, I would take pride in like taking those young kids and teaching them about life. And so now it's even more rewarding that I'm going to have my two sons. I have a 22-year-old and a 23-year-old salespeople on my staff right now that were friends with my son. I coached them all on travel baseball, and they've been doing really well, making $4,000 or $5,000 a month, doing really well. So I took pride in teaching them and helping them. But now it's my sons. So I have a 19-year-old salesperson that's a friend of mine's son. He sent him over here. I have a 19-year-old tech, a 19-year-old detailer, a 18-year-old tech. So I take pride in taking these young men, and they have a saying that an army of you'd be more afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion than an army of lions led by a sheep. Yeah. I said, well, I want to be the army of lions led by a lion, So I want to take these young men, teach them how to excel in life, and see how far we can take this,
That's a bold proposition. So what's next for you? Like you now have your own store. You're leading these young men. What does the next 12, 24 months look like for you? Like, what's your vision of what that starts to create?
I'm gonna open up another, the economy of scale. I'm gonna open up another used car lot within the next 90 days, because a lot of the expenses that I currently have are not going to duplicate. I'll make good money from another location because I'm paying for human resource technicians, different things here that I'm not going to have to pay for there because we're just going to use it here. So I'll open up another used car lot. The vision is to own 10 dealerships, whether there's 10 used car lots or mix in a few new car franchises, but that's the vision. When I first started this journey, I went down the path of trying to own a new car franchise, but I had nothing but my name. I didn't have a company. Now I have $2 million of floor plan, another $1 million of loans, all in my company's name. And if I find one of those small rural new car franchises, I'm gonna buy it. The next time that opportunity comes across, I'm gonna buy that, and then put all these used car lots underneath that new car franchise to get all the banks. And so it's a whole plan. But the goal is to own 10 dealerships. Whether I do it in the next 3 months, 6 months, or 5 years, when I was 24, 25 years old, I was like writing some stuff down, and I was like, had this plan to own 10 used car lots. I don't know where this came from. I forgot about that plan. 15 years go by, climbing the corporate ladder, making good money. I forgot that I had a plan to own 10. And when I was terminated from my managing partner position, and I was sitting there trying to figure out the next steps of my life, I was reminded, hey, didn't you want to own 10 used car lots? Didn't you want to be a business owner? And so now I have 2, and I'll have 3 before the end of the year, and we're just going to keep going,
That's amazing. Well, Bruce, I have full confidence you're going to do that. And hey, maybe someone's listening right now that wants to give you a shot on the new car side, because this audience could certainly use someone with culture and heart and pride in leading people that you do. But thank you so much for spending some time with us. Bruce, you are a true gentleman and a scholar, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank y'all. I'm so grateful to be in the ASOTU universe. Y'all everywhere. I get emails. Notifications, and now I'm a part of the ASOTU universe,
Awesome. You definitely are. Thanks, sir. Oh, what an absolutely fun conversation. I love the heart and the intensity that he had around bringing his sons into the store. Like, it was a point of pride and joy that he's able to bring. And yeah, I thought he was going to cry, and not just that, but he's like, and my son's friend is working for me, and the guy down the street, his son,
I have this guy who's 18, and this one who's 19.
I'm like, this guy, he's not building a dealership; he's building a mentoring program for young men.
Yep.
It's unbelievable.
Without a doubt, there's this element of him understanding what the auto industry can do for somebody, and then just being an advocate. Like, there's literally nothing more ASOTU than that story. And that story in the making, honestly, on the way out too. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to have 10 dealerships. He's like, it might happen 3 months from now. It might happen 10 years from now. I was like, I believe that is the kind of guy that could make it happen in 3 months. Yeah. He just says it like it's no big deal. I'm going to open a thing here. I'm going to do a thing there. Yeah. It's like no factor.
I love the master plan of it too. Like he knows, like, okay, I'm going to own 10 stores. I'm using independence to leapfrog into maybe a franchise if the opportunity presents itself. This is a guy that's moving so strategically that he almost frees himself from the day-to-day like ups and downs, ebbs and flows of running a business, where he's like, that was today. That doesn't mean it's going to be tomorrow, and I'm still working towards my goal. Like, I really get that sense and really appreciate it about him.
So good. Well, hey, I mean, that interview and that time was, like I said, there's nothing more ASOTU than that legacy. So thanks for joining us today on this episode of Auto Collabs. On behalf of Kyle Mountsier, Michael Cirillo, and myself, we'll see you next time.
Welcome to Auto Collabs. Why are we recording?
Are we rolling yet?